Just want to talk about security now, and a lot of Nigerians are very concerned with how their lives are turning out with each day, because most people have experienced some form of either police being attacking them or their neighbors or armed robbers or whatever it is. There's a lot of fear from Nigerians, especially with as long as the lockdown goes. With each day, there's a fear. The fear increases. How are Nigerians supposed to find their way through these difficult times without assurances from government?
Well, these are challenging times, and we plead with all Nigerians to cooperate with the government so that this pandemic will eventually be overcome. But on our own side, we feel we are duty bound to also help in the implementation of the COVID-19 regulations so that at the end of the day, Nigerians do not suffer more hardship as a result of the implementation. All we need is the cooperation of the security agencies to respect human rights while implementing the COVID-19 regulations. And I think it's a time to turn around the way we do things. If we have been acting with impunity in the past, I think the time now is a good point, is a good turnaround point for us to make sure that while enforcing any regulations, we respect the human rights of people, we respect human life, because we felt it is ridiculous that while trying to enforce the regulations, more people are dying than those who contracted the disease. So I think the way forward is an inward-looking process, which I think will affect every aspect of our life, including the security. We should look at our security mechanisms and see, is human rights mainstreamed into it? Is it people-centered? What is the fate of the civilian in the enforcement of security? We think that any security system that is not human rights centered has a challenge. And moving forward as a nation, we think time has come when the security agencies should take the human life component of their security mechanism. They should center around respect for human rights and human life. And I think that should be the watershed. That should be a lesson we have learned from the coronavirus pandemic.
So a lot of people understand that, we live in very different times. And in times like this, of course, as much as human beings, we have fundamental human rights. A lot of those rights are halted now. I mean, freedom of movement and association, for example, are completely, trampled on at this moment, and we understand why. But a lot of Nigerians are also not sure how far their rights go and where those of the security agencies start. I mean, we saw news of an 18-year-old boy who was shot and killed in Enugu State. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. Video circulated a couple of days ago of a lady who was completely whipped and harassed by policemen. I don't know if she was sitting in front of her house or she was going to get medication or something along those lines, So there are exemptions to the rule going on right now, but how far can Nigerians go? Where do their rights now end? And where does that of the security agencies start? Because people are not sure what the rules are. Nothing seems very clear.
Well, certainly during times like this, certain rights have to be abridged. It is the interest of everybody. The most effective remedy to the pandemic is the lockdown, and then social distancing, and so on and so forth. And that is why the government has adopted this approach. But the point is, in implementing it by the security agencies, government has also directed them that they have to implement it with a human face. They have to implement it with respect for human rights. So the necessary thing is that the security personnel who are deployed, who overreach their mandate, should be disciplined, because nobody has asked them to go and kill anybody. So you find out that most of the issues around, like the lady who was in front of our house selling something, we had to take the NHRC in Osun State has taken that up with the DPO. I understand by tomorrow, orderly room trial will start in respect of that matter, because police itself felt embarrassed by that kind of attitude. So, like I'm saying, what we should expect is that moving from now onwards, if anybody's right is violated, the authorities should be ready to ask those who violated those rights to account for them. It is not the time to cover up. We don't need to portray ourselves as a people who condone violation of human rights. The response by the police in that case of Osun State is very, very commendable. That officer has been identified. And also in several other cases, right now, the government is looking into all those allegations of violation of human rights. And the government has promised that they will look into all those allegations. And that is how a country should be. We are happy that the government is responding to it, and I plead with the citizens to please try and also cooperate with the security agencies. The times are hard, both for the security agencies themselves and for the government, but that is not an excuse why a professional officer has to go torturing people or killing people and so on and so forth. Certainly nobody has authorized them to do that. So Nigerians should feel, please, if anybody's right is violated, report this to the National Human Rights Commission, report this to higher authorities in the police. These are only being carried out by junior officers, and they are not supported by the senior officers in the security agencies. And I believe that the rapid response team, the IGP response team, all these people are working around the clock to make sure that erring officers are disciplined along this process. So Nigerians should be rest assured that any of their rights violated along this process, government is taking it seriously, and there will be consequences for any such violations.
I mean, you've mentioned on the side, one side of things where it seems like security agencies are overzealous while doing their jobs, but there's also the other part where a lot of communities don't seem to have any security right now. We've seen so many stories and videos and pictures of parts of Lagos State and Ogun State where bandits have pretty much let loose and, just attacking people every night. We've heard of them burning people's houses and carrying machetes and planks and, just robbing people and raping women. And a lot of these communities have now formed vigilantes of their own to try and secure their areas without any help from government. These things have gone on now for a couple of days, and it still seems to go on. I don't know, at what point do the security agencies step into communities like this where there's an obvious security challenge?
Well, the times are really difficult, even for the security agencies themselves. You recall that even the Inspector General of Police has had to dispatch a special unit to go to assist in Ogun and Lagos State where these things are happening. You see, that is a challenge because this number of people sitting down under the lockdown doing nothing, you see, this is the flip side of it. And nobody expected this to happen. But now that it has happened, I believe the security agencies are going to rise up to it. And the people themselves need also to assist the security agencies so that their place can be safe. But I know it's not easy for anybody. But these are trying times. It will come and go. So all we do is we plead for patience. We plead for understanding. The government is releasing palliatives to see how far they can assist. But it's not easy. I can tell you it's not easy. Everybody has to sacrifice something. So we appeal that every citizen should please not over-insist on his or her rights. As long as there is reasonableness about what is going on, we should all try and accommodate it. It will not last forever. It is just for a short while. Once this COVID-19 is contained, we'll go back to our normal lives. And I assure you, there will be a change in the way there's law enforcement after this COVID-19.